What is up? I'm Annabelle Hasselbeck here with Kasey Hudson for another episode of Respect Her Game. We got the newest draftee of the Boston Fleet, Abby Newhook, joining us on the show today. I cannot wait. We'll hit some WNBA talk and get to more things as we go. But Kasey, how's the Monday been so far?
Monday has been a Monday, but at least it's coming off of a great weekend. So we're good. We're good, AB. How have you been?
I'm good. I'm pumped for this interview, so let's get right to it. I'd love to welcome to the show the newest member of the PWHL, Boston Fleet. Honored to call you friend Abby Newhook. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, Abby, we just want to say congratulations on what looked like just an incredible draft experience. So how did it feel to be drafted by the Boston Fleet?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, they really put off such a great event, from the purple carpet walking in, the pre-day events, the night before and the day before, and then obviously the draft itself was just awesome. But I mean, with that comes a lot of nerves, obviously a lot of excitement, but yeah, you're just kind of sitting in your seat waiting for it. I think what's different from the NHL draft is they have central scouting, so you kind of know where you're going to end up and that sort of thing. But with the PWHL, it's a little bit different, and you're not really sure what round and what team, and so trying to just, balance the nerves with the excitement. But overall, it was just such a great experience, and I can't be more thrilled to be selected by the Fleet.
I think it's so sick that you're going to be able to stay in Boston, play with the Fleet team that started selling out. The audience, the fan base is tremendous here, but you kind of mentioned it. A lot of nerves going into this. Did you have any idea, or were you drawn to any certain PWHL teams ahead of this, or was it all just surprise?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can say going into it that the two teams that really, stood out to me just based off of my past and stuff like that was obviously Boston, because I've been here for so long, after going to prep school here for 3 years, and then Boston College for 4 years, and then the Montreal team as well, just because my brother has been playing in Montreal now for 2 years, so it'd be cool to be in the same city as him. But other than that, I mean, it's kind of just reading and reacting to what's going on in the draft. New York traded early on in the first round and took 2 centers. And I did have some good conversations with them, but I kind of figured, okay, they might not be looking to take another center. So you get some, clues here and there about what's going to happen in the draft. But in terms of actually knowing where you're going to end up, it's hard to say.
It's so cool to hear that. And just with the other drafts that were going on, to hear kind of what was going through your head in that moment. But I remember talking to you in the spring. We had a conversation about next steps. And I remember you didn't know if you were definitely going to even play in the PWHL. So when did you know that this would be a possibility for you?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely comes with, a lot of hard decisions, and, just making that next step to take a risk and put yourself out there, and especially declare for the draft. So yeah, I do remember that conversation. It was a conversation that I had with many people at that time, just trying to, see what was the best move for me. But I think it just one day came to me, I think I was out on the ice and I was like, you know what, I'm just not ready to give this up, and I want to make the next step, and I want to take that next risk. So then I declared for the draft, and after that, there was no really looking backwards. It was all forwards, and just was excited to see how the draft panned out and excited to see what was next.
If you could go back a couple of years and kind of look at professional women's hockey big picture, how possible did that draft day feel, and does this new path for you feel? Because it's changed. Professional hockey for women has had different identities leading up to what is now starting to feel successful for the PWHL.
Definitely. I mean, I think for me, it starts back to 2019 when my brother was selected in the NHL draft, because I was sitting in that seat right with him thinking, I really wish this was an opportunity for me, and just to be able to hear your name called and that sort of thing. And then obviously over the past couple of years, I mean, the league has grown tremendously, from the fan base, the level of play, the speed of the game, everything like that. But just being able to see so many young girls look up to this league and know that there's a possibility that they can play professional hockey is the coolest thing. And for me, the last 2 years of college have been, that much more motivating, knowing that there's something after college. So it's just super exciting, and I'm so glad to be a part of it.
Well, Abby, we have to talk about the fan zone that absolutely showed out at your draft experience. Did you know that your friends would be there?
Yes, honestly, right from the beginning, I can remember declaring for the draft, and 3 of my roommates were like, you know what, we're all in. And after that, it was just kind of 2 more girls were in, 3 more girls were in. It was this whole thing where everyone was like, we're coming. And, until the flights were booked, I was like, wow, I mean, this seems like a far trip, but they were all in. They, all in, meaning they were all in to come, and also all in at the draft. They were the best fans, there was two different fan sections going on. Some of my friends from Boston, some of my friends from Newfoundland. So seeing them all there and seeing their support, they got in Tuesday morning, and I got my hair done and makeup done, and they were right there, sitting with me, kind of just calming the nerves and that sort of thing. So having them by my side and seeing their support, not only leading up to the draft, but especially on draft day, and hearing their voices, yelling right after my name was called, was super special and something that I'll never forget.
Another special touch is obviously having the support and the backing of your brother. And who would have thought how viral that would have gone? You always see about the brothers in the NHL, but you and your brother presented a pretty sick dynamic to say, hey, my sister's a professional women's hockey player and I'm in the NHL. Like, what is that like for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, going back for the past couple of weeks, it feels surreal right now, but he's just been like such a big supporter for me and such a big supporter for the league. He's gone to, the Montreal games over the past 2 years and shown his support in that way, but also just been there pushing me to be my best and supporting all of my decisions. And I can remember now, a week ago, he sent me a text just being like, I'm always here for you. It's good to like talk out how you're feeling. It's a stressful time. I've been there and I've had the nerves. I've had the excitement. Everyone's going to ask you a million questions. Where are you going to go? How's it going to pan out? And you don't really know leading up to it. But just have gone through that experience and knowing what to say to me in these given situations and motivating me every single day and just supporting me, from day one really has been so awesome. And then for him to be there with me on draft day after, going through everything with him was super special. And yeah, from honestly day one, he's just been there and been my biggest supporter. So I'm really grateful for him.
It's incredible, and it's so fun to just hear how that connection was a huge part of your day. But I'd love to ask you a little bit more about the details of that day, because it looked like an incredible event. So when you think back to that moment, maybe from even getting your makeup done early in the morning, what was so cool about just the draft day experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think like it's just you're treated like so awesome. You feel like a queen. Like, I woke up in the morning. My agency had put together a whole thing of like breakfast and everything for all my friends to come by, my family to come by, and then had the makeup artists come in. And the league also had makeup artists that were available as well. And the hair lady came in, and just having that element leading up to it was super exciting. And then fast forward to the draft, they were sending us in cars like two at a time. They had brought in 10 girls just to do some like media stuff and originally like just invited us to the draft, and they took care of us, which was super awesome. But yeah, they sent us 2 by 2 to the draft, and then we got to the draft. They had an awesome purple carpet set up with fans that were coming into the draft, or even fans that didn't have tickets were lining up on the outsides, and you kind of just walked through, gave some signatures, got some pictures, and then as you went inside, it was a lot of media stuff, pictures, different questions, like little mini mic stuff. And then for the 10 of us that they had invited, they had couch setups in the front, which was super cool, comfortable while you're hanging out, waiting to get your name called. And then some other tables in the back and stuff like that. And then from there, it was just, wait and hope for the best. And I think the funniest thing about it all is they have the, GMs and coaches and everything up on the stage. So you're like looking up in between each pick, trying, I don't know, maybe to make eye contact, maybe not to make eye contact, but just looking up, and they're looking down at you. So it's kind of like, oh, it's like, are you going to call my name or not? I don't know. Just a weird dynamic, but no, they had a great event, and it was truly awesome.
Sounds like a lot of processing of all sorts of emotions. I got to touch back on something that you mentioned, life after college. I think we all have a weird, tall task of how to process that. But what does the summer look like for you now that, you played at Boston College, that you get a chance to play in the Professional Hockey League? Like, what's this summer feel like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the past month, has been the weirdest month probably of my life. Just going from college, living with 5 other girls, one of them being AB's sister. Going from that.
Oh, you got baby Hasselbeck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Lucky me. Yeah. So going from
really quick, Abby, she did ask me, I'm like, is there anything you want me to ask Abby? She goes, yeah, ask her who her favorite roommate is. I was like, I can't ask her that one. But I asked her, Mallory. I asked her.
She's one of the 5, But anyways, going from that to going home and kind of, having a lot of uncertainty going on in your life without the people who are not, I mean, I obviously have my family, which are, some of my biggest supporters, but just going from living with 5 girls to being completely, pretty much on your own was, a lot for me, and just trying to kind of process the fact that, you don't really get a choice of where you're going to live and where you're going to play and what's going to happen next. So, the past month has been crazy, but now that I have answers and, I'm back in Boston with all of my friends, all of my supporters, BC right around the corner, that sort of thing. It's definitely a relief and takes away a lot of the, stressful things about trying to, find somewhere to live and what to do for the summer. And then I'm actually lucky enough that Megan Keller is on the Boston Fleet. And so she's someone that I've always looked up to. And she went to Boston College as well. And she texted me right after the draft, just being like, hey, so pumped to have you, that sort of thing. And then right into like, these are our skates. This is what we're doing. You're welcome to come to our training sessions, skating things. So that definitely got me excited, just knowing, a familiar face. And then also, kind of having a training plan for the summer to get a head start with them. And then on my own, I'm going to be training as well. So that's kind of what the summer's looking like for now. I'm sure it will change like a little bit, depending what kind of skates they're doing and that sort of thing. But I'm really looking forward to that.
Wow. Well, Megan Keller coming in clutch with that BC connection. And I'm sure you're doing other fun things too. But I do want to talk a little bit about just your Boston College experience. Because like you said, it's going to be hard. Like any new transition in life is hard. And even going from college to pro. But what are you going to take away from your Boston College hockey experience that you'll bring into your PWHL career?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've made so many great connections. I've had, a few different coaches at BC who have all been great and who have all taught me so many different things. But I think the biggest thing is, you go through 4 different years and you're put in 4 different positions. And that's so crucial when you're going to play on a new team with, different personalities and different types of players. And, just being able to easily adapt into a new position on a new team. I think having that 4-year experience where it's like you go from being a freshman and you're one of the younger girls on the team and you have to listen to the leaders and learn from them. And then, move into your sophomore year, you're a little bit more comfortable. You might be a little bit higher up in the lineup, that sort of thing. And then my junior and senior year, I was fortunate enough to be a captain. So having that kind of, leadership experience and learning from, leaders who had come before me and then also learning from my own experiences. Junior year, you just kind of have one foot in the door and you're trying to, see what works and figure it all out. You're junior captain. You want to, earn the respect in the room. And then as you go on to be a senior, obviously you have more confidence and kind of, just more confidence in your leadership style and the way to approach a team and approach different teammates. So taking all those things into account and kind of bringing them into the Fleet, I think will be definitely helpful for me and just make it easier for me to be put into any role that they want me in.
I think it's a really cool time for that because one of the things that was discussed around the Fleet last season is that month by month, you saw them still trying to figure out their identity. A lot of moves being changed here, but like I said, the fan base is so loyal. What's something that fans need to know about you in terms of like your favorite part of your game? Because if you're playing center, then you're really smart. You've got 2 outstanding elements to your game to be relied on offensively as well as defensively. And I'm sorry, but for women's hockey, your keen has to be that much sharper because you have to be so much more savvy skill-wise because of the pace of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think something for me that, really brings my game to a different element would be my passing. I think I have a, strong ability to make plays under pressure, and I think that will go a long way in this league, especially with the physicality of the league. I did play boys hockey growing up until I left home for my sophomore year to go to Tabor Academy. So I'm kind of used to the physicality. I played with hitting for a couple of years, and I think that will also be helpful going into the league.
That's important. Any type of cross training is amazing. But yeah, playing with boys is definitely gets you a leg up just because of the physicality. But I'd love to just go back to your Boston College experience because it is so fun. And even though you're now graduated, it's so fun to kind of relive some of those moments. So do you have a favorite memory from your BC hockey experience?
Wow. There's a lot of them. I would say one of them would be playing my first ever Beanpot at Northeastern my freshman year. And they had, I think, beat us every game that year so far. So we went into Northeastern, they had a full-on fan section, and we ended up beating them, which was awesome. A moment I'll never forget. We kind of acted like we won the Stanley Cup, and it was the first round of the Beanpot, but it was a great experience. And then on top of that, the past 2 years, having the opportunity to play at the TD Garden, I've always been able to watch my brother play there and, just being able to see all the support that came out to support women's hockey and support us was just unbelievable. And those two games that I was able to play at the Garden are something that I will never forget.
I can only imagine even like being able to skate around TD Garden just for fun, just to keep it breezy. But just kind of on that, you talked about being able to play with guys growing up. Gigi Marvin here at Nesson talked about how she used to always try to like silently really push the guys and test them to their limit because she knew she was better. Are you a chirper or not? Do you try to get in your opponent's head, guy or gal, doesn't matter?
I would say no. Yeah, I'd say like, I mean, growing up, I kind of just like stayed away from chirping the guys just because I don't know, just kind of kept to myself in terms of like not on the ice, but just low key on the chirping side of things. And then, at BC, I would say sort of the same thing. Like, don't really have too much to say. Yeah, I'd say I stay away from the chirping as much as I can, but you never know this year.
You let your game speak for itself.
You're the cinnamon bun is a cinnamon bun, but not on the ice. I'm sure you are aggressive and very much a competitor in that way. But for Fleet fans, what's the game day routine look like for Abby Newhook?
I'm a pretty basic pregame routine girl. I'm not too superstitious, so that's like not a big thing for me. But wake up, go to the rink, stretch, pregame skate, that sort of thing, but keep it pretty low key. Come back, eat, and then nap. And then when I wake up again, have something like smaller. I'm usually like pasta and chicken type of girl, pretty, basic. And then that's pretty much it. Head to the rink, get the tunes going, tape my stick, and that's about it. Nothing too crazy.
Oh, I got to know, what are the tunes? Because I'm a music gal and I'm very moody at that. So different days get the hype going. What is on Abby's playlist to get her in the zone?
All rap. It could be, any type of rap music. I just have a massive playlist and it's a shuffle type thing. Like just whatever comes on, I'm working with. And yeah, I'm not a country gal. Like I don't go for that, but rap all the time. Yep.
Well, I know your teammate Katie Pine, formerly known as DJ KP, is also on aux in the locker room. So is that Abby Newhook's headphones that you're listening to the music, or DJ KP?
I think it's a bit of both. Yep. I mean, some of the things she's playing are, her own mixtape. So I don't know if I have those, in my playlist yet. But, they're great in the locker room when everyone's listening to it at the same time. But I don't know that I could, be on my own with the tunes on, listening to her rap yet, but it is a great one.
Listening to it. I do have to ask, was there anyone else you were in touch with or that reached out when the draft pick was made? Because you mentioned Keller, but I know sometimes the excitement is so high that everyone's just kind of a quick, nice to meet you, can't wait to work with you. Anything else stand out in that matter?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the veteran players actually reached out, which I thought was super cool. Alina Mueller, Aaron Frankel, Jamie Lee Rattray, who happened to make the pick. Abby Levy, she's another girl who played at BC with me, and we're super close, so that was awesome. But yeah, I mean, a bunch of the girls, Jill Saulnier, they were all reached out just saying they're super excited, let me know if you need anything, congrats, that sort of thing. We're all pumped, which is really nice, when you get selected to a team and it's kind of like, okay, what's next, what's now, who are my teammates going to be, that sort of thing. And right away, all texted me and just made me feel, super welcome and super comfortable.
That's awesome. And they're not the only people excited. Casey and I are extremely excited for you to be part of the Boston Fleet. But I know we did a lot of hockey talk, but we have to get to it. What's your weekend look like? What's the July 4th going to be for you?
Yes. So I'm actually in Cape Cod, and the weather has been beautiful so far. So the plan is to just hang out, go to the beach. I do love the beach, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, just chill, hang out. For this week, like going forward, get a little workout in, in the morning, and then just go to the beach and enjoy the rest of the day. So I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be a good little reset.
Mm-hmm. No days off for Abby Newhook. Love that. Getting ready for the season coming up. Well, Abby, we're just so grateful that you took the time to talk with us today. We're excited to cheer you on in your next Fleet journeys. Everybody needs to hit her up, Abby Newhook, on the gram. Stay up to date with her pro career and her July 4th weekend. So stay tuned for more coming from Abby Newhook. We're so pumped to have you. And on the show coming up, we got some WNBA hoops and exciting news that you won't want to miss. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll be back soon.
Thanks, Abby.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a blast. Good to see you guys.
All right. Well, that was so fun just to talk to Abby Newhook. I absolutely love that conversation. So excited to follow her and her Fleet journey coming up. But there's a lot going on in the WNBA. New news that we get to kick off this headline with. They just announced there's going to be a record expansion with teams in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia. I was a little bummed to not see Nashville on that list. And there are other cities that weren't there. But the league is planning to grow to 18 teams. Cleveland will be in 2028, Detroit in 2029, and Philly in 2030. It feels kind of crazy to be saying names
so
like
weird.
2030, but how excited are you for this, Kasey?
I'm excited because it's just going to change the level of competition. You know, when you start to kind of like we just talked about PWHL, when you're facing the same teams all the time, so consistency, like, yeah, it really challenges your game. But to some degree, you know, certain things become a little bit more solvable. So we're going to be able to see things ramp up to another level for the WNBA. That's why we're excited for women's sports to grow as a whole. You were bummed about Nashville. I thought we were finally going to hear some good news about Boston, but fingers crossed, it's not completely out of the cards, hopefully, but I am very excited about this and the direction that the league is going in.
Definitely. And I think one of the cool parts for me is just to see the NBA's backing to these new teams.
Yes.
I know the Cleveland team is being led by Dan Gilbert, who's the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Detroit's team has even been invested in by Jared Goff, the Lions quarterback, so like there's a lot of different ties in pro men's sports that are in these new WNBA teams. I mean, we're seeing it across all women's pro sports, even in the NWSL. And I just think not only does that provide like leadership backing, but also financial backing. And sometimes too, when you have a leader in that city who is promoting a new team and something that's brand new in a city, you need some people who are recognizable faces and already have a fan base behind them to really get it going. So I'm excited about that because I think it's a really important piece to this new WNBA expansion.
I think it's one of the most important pieces, AB, because without those names being attached to this, sometimes like the encouragement gets lost upon fans. And I know that's such a tough thing to say considering that these women, these athletes deserve the attention. But when you find out that Patrick Mahomes and his wife are going to soccer games because, they're invested in it, when you find out that Jared Goff is invested in something, that just piques your interest to a degree of coming in more open-minded and more exciting than you would if you were just kind of generally stumbling upon it. So I think it helps a lot, and it just speaks to the importance of the growth of it.
Definitely. And we're here talking about teams that are going to be in 2029, 2030. But
2030.
there's two teams that will be in 2026. It's Toronto and Portland. And I think what's crazy just to think about how many more teams we'll see in the WNBA, it is a great rollout because now you have two more teams in 2026. We had the Valkyries this year. And so you can kind of see what's happening is these teams will learn from each other. Hey, what was your process? What worked? What didn't? And also, I think if you were to put all these teams in immediately, which obviously isn't feasible to do, that's why there's a rollout, it might just be overconsumption. Like there might just not be enough attention given to one team. So I'm excited to see, the rollout of these teams over the next couple of years, but also how do they learn from each other? And in what ways does that help the WNBA just do this process really well?
I love that you point that out, but the cool part about the rollout, I think, is you get those unique fan stories. Like, have you ever met someone who's not from the city and they fell in love with the team because of how they came onto the scene or because of the player that they got in the expansion draft? So it just kind of helps broaden the scope of the fans that might be interested in a Toronto team or, what'd you mention, Philly or Cleveland. Like, it could be they picked up my favorite player and now I'm all in on this team and I'm not even from Cleveland. I'm from Texas. So I think it also just creates unique paths and ties to the game.
Totally. Hey, they might even get you and I. Like they might even grab
They know we're the marketing gurus, AB.
They know that we've been talking about them every week and giving them brand new ideas. Maybe until there is a team in Boston, then you and I can get to pick our expansion team that we're going to be a fan base for. But we're almost a third way through the WNBA season, and the MVP talks are well underway. There's some clear frontrunners: Nafisa Collier, obviously Caitlin Clark, Breanna Stewart, and you cannot forget three-time MVP Asia Wilson, and she had an incredible feat reaching 5,000 career points. So here's what she had to say after that accomplishment.
It meant a lot to me. It's been a special season for us. It's been a lot of ups and downs, but when you can hit a milestone like this in a league like this, I can't let it go unnoticed, so I'm grateful, I'm blessed. I'm so happy I got to do it in my Princess Tiana. Princess and the Frog is my favorite movie, so I got a chance to do it in these shoes, and it's my first time ever riding something in those shoes, but I'm definitely gonna cherish this moment because it's been a lot of fun, but obviously we got a lot of work to do, so back at it tomorrow.
Back at it tomorrow, but I have to go back to the shoes because that Princess and the Frog Disney movie is one of my all-time favorite movies. I love that she literally named the shoes after them. So just love that because there's a song in that movie called Almost There, and it's a great motivational song. I actually listened to it during one of my lacrosse seasons to kind of fire me up. So yes, you can get jacked up from a Disney movie and a Disney song, but just loved how she brought that into it. And we're seeing athletes. Tyrese Halliburton, we were talking about how he had his shoes up on the press conference table. So it's funny to see some of these athletes be able to market in that way as well.
I know. It feels like it's becoming a thing too, especially when they have these killer games and they're like, oh, by the way, there's this shoe that you got to check out. It's mine. Love that intel on what was in AV's headphones, though. I would have guessed and I wouldn't have guessed all in one. That's for sure.
Yeah, listen, I'm all over the place. You don't want to look at my playlist. Someone's going to be like, what is she doing? But just awesome for A'ja Wilson hitting this 5,000 mark in her career. And she's definitely on track to beat Diana Taurasi's record of, I think, over 10,000 career points if she keeps this current pace, which obviously is hard. I think it's 267 games that she still has to play over, that would be 6 seasons, basically. So we're projecting this long career feat. So we'll see how it goes. But even though she's not the front runner, she's absolutely killing it right now. I mean, with that 5,000 point career hit, but other people like Napheesa Collier, she is doing incredibly well, still leading the league in points, even though she's recently been out with a back injury. And I think that is really the crux of what's going to lead to who gets the MVP is who can stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, that's why everyone's kind of going back and forth when it comes to Caitlin Clark. We saw an MVP caliber performance when she got back from her injury just to kind of fall off a little bit and then end up injured yet again. I mean, I've said this so much just because of my ties to Minnesota. I'm always rooting for their athletics and their pro teams for the most part. Napheesa Collier is somebody that I've thought about a lot last season just because we talk a lot about her being able to put up these 20-plus performances and throw the team on her back, but this is someone who's always been acknowledged for her defensive element to her game also. So just to be so strong on both sides of the ball, to be a leader, to be heavily relied on in tough moments and pull through time and time again. I mean, yeah, her dealing with back stuff makes sense considering how much she has carried teams on her back over and over again. So she's someone I always love to keep at the top of the MVP conversation. But it's going to be tough because injuries are getting very spread around a lot of these ladies at the moment.
Definitely. And she came in second for MVP last year. So that definitely, has a little bit of a factor and a chip on her shoulder how she wants to handle it. But another award that's getting a lot of talk already is Rookie of the Year. So let's get to that. And this is up for grabs, okay? So the front runners are Paige Bueckers, Kiki Irefin, and Sonia Citron. Paige Bueckers was a star from UConn, now at the Dallas Wings. Kiki Irefin, USC grad. Sonia Citron, Notre Dame grad. They both play for the Washington Mystics. So really stacked rookie class for Washington. They did an amazing job in the offseason, but right now it's looking like Paige Bueckers. She's leading the league in all scoring, assists, and steals, and she has also missed multiple games due to a concussion protocol that she was dealing with a couple weeks ago, but that really seemed to have no effect on her. I think really the only thing that's not going in her favor is that Dallas is 5-13 this season. So kind of a shocking season for them so far, but clearly not affecting Paige individually.
Yeah, I think Paige kind of had a heads up to the fact that her coming into that Dallas team was to uplift them. And look, one player can only do so much. She's checking a lot of the boxes that we expected her to check. The skill set is there. The flair is there. All the excitement is still there regardless of injury. But this is a Dallas team that's still going to have to go through a little discomfort in building out this roster, getting her the support that she needs so that they can pick up some more wins because they kind of went wish-wash last season. Got a little disruptive in terms of just randomly beating teams down the stretch and then kind of fell apart again. So I'm not surprised at the record. I'm also not surprised by Paige Bueckers, and she's probably going to sit on top of this conversation for me as well.
Definitely. And I know some people are saying, even though Dallas doesn't have a great record, Paige can still win it. And I think that's totally true, right? It's an individual award, and you can't make that the only reason why someone doesn't get the Rookie of the Year award. But Kiki Arifin is creeping up on her, and I think people weren't talking about her as much coming into the season because she was playing with Juju Watkins and that incredible USC team. But she is absolutely killing it. She's leading the rookies in rebounds per game, and she is not afraid to go up against Asia Wilson herself and get that and one. I think people were absolutely shocked to see her getting physical and taking it to Brittany Griner and Alyssa Thompson type players in the WNBA and really making her name known from the jump. So yes, I think at the end of the day, we're probably going to see it be Paige, but Kiki Arifin is definitely making a name for herself. And I think regardless, what an awesome showing from the Washington Mystics rookie class and what they can do and just really setting the stage for the future to come.
100%. I'm just glad that Kiki Arifin has an opportunity to separate herself from Juju Watkins in this context. Like you mentioned it, there's a little overshadowing there, but we saw her step up a lot when Juju went down with her injury, and she's just kind of pulling kind of the fun identity from USC's greatest plays over to Washington. I mean, they were known to be so defensively stout. That's why we got excited about USC in a number of ways. Sometimes their bench got a little bit deeper than expected. So I am very happy to hear her name in the mix, but I'm right there with you. I think Paige continues to wear the crown on this one.
Definitely. And it's been a lot for these rookies. You come off of a crazy NCAA run when you're playing very late in the season. Most teams are done. Most teams are at home chilling. Some women's careers are over, but not these women who are playing in those top teams in the country. And then you jump right in to the WNBA preseason and training camp, trying to make the team, get drafted, all those things. So really impressive from this rookie class. And regardless, that transition is not going to go away. It's just what it is. It's what you get for being one of the best in college basketball. But there's a lot going on in both the MVP and Rookie of the Year race, so I'm excited to keep up with it. And when we come back, we have some new exciting news in the NWSL in Boston Legacy. Kasey and I will give you the breakdown on the new head coach of this NWSL soccer team, so stay tuned for more when we come back. All right, well, it is official. Filipa Patão is the newest head coach of the Boston Legacy, the NWSL's newest team in our city, and it's been a really eventful rollout. First, we had a new club, then a new team for the club, and then we got to reveal the crest a few weeks ago, and now we have a new head coach.
Don't forget the duck boats.
Don't forget the duck boats. We have new duck boats. Hopefully, we'll get to see more of those. But the Legacy will be into their inaugural season in next year's 2026 NWSL season. Patão is coming from the top level of soccer in Portugal, previously coaching Benfica, and I'm just so pumped about this number one new team, but also this new head coach.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, there's so many new pieces going on with this. It's kind of a breath of fresh air, but it's one of those things where creativity and how they want to go about this new path, it's all within reach. So I think it's really cool. And then considering also the high level that she played in for this team, you're talking about a style of play that's going to translate really cool in the NWSL this way. So I'm very excited for us to just continue to see the pieces fall into place and what to expect coming up.
Yeah, well, let's get into that play style because the Legacy put out a great interview and really preview of what we're going to see from this soccer team to their fan base. So check this out.
Boston, I'm Filipa Patão, your new head coach. Let's build a legacy together.
What should our fans expect in terms of our style and our type of game?
I love to have the ball because in football, if you don't have the ball, you don't control nothing. You're going to see a team that wants to give happiness to the supporters with the ball. And I know that we can do that.
Boston fans can expect a team that
has identity, energy, intense, aggressive. I think you're going to see a team with personality, with a lot of personality, like people of Boston.
So what should our fans expect for the 26th season?
Hard work. I'm a person that I'm very demanding, so I try to do my best and put everyone doing the best that you can, and try to be special because our town is special. Get yourself a seat deposit and be ready to make history. Vamos!
Okay, so that felt like it needed to be in a movie theater. It was
Yes.
so awesome and dramatic with the music. I mean, that was absolutely wild. But I love that she talked about, I love to have the ball because I think that's what fans are going to want to see. They want to see their new team prioritizing ball possession, and then that's when we can really see the show happen.
Absolutely. And I mean, possession is something that you learn is so key with soccer. You've seen some teams kind of be able to pull off these whirlwind wins without having more than that, 50 percentile possession that teams like to aim for. But I love that she also mentioned like happiness is seeing your team with the ball. It all comes back down to it, but it's having skilled players that can maintain that possession. We're going to talk about her a little bit, but Alex Morgan was a key woman in making sure that she was a woman possessed when she had the opportunity to have the ball, take the ball, make sure that no one could get that ball away from her. And it just makes for exciting play, for one. It creates a lot of opportunities for two. And to have the players you can trust to play the possession game, that is something to be excited about.
And just with this new head coach and a brand new club and franchise, I mean, we just talked about it earlier on the show with all the new teams in the WNBA. There's a lot at stake. Like this first inaugural year, it is a statement year. And so, looking at what is important, what is crucial for a new head coach and a new organization, I think the biggest thing is having a clear and concise message that everyone from players to trainers to front office, like everyone knows, right? Like, what are we going to say? What's going to be our theme? What are we going to stick by? And then also, like, what are the non-negotiables for our club? How are we going to act in film meetings? How are we going to carry ourselves? What are going to be the hard and fast do's and don'ts of this organization and in the fabric and intertwined to the identity of the team? Because identity, as we've talked a lot about with the Boston Fleet, is something that comes throughout the season, and it's gained, and you find out more about your team throughout that journey of the season. But really, the crux of what you're going to put your team on and the non-negotiables and that clear message, you can make that and establish that from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, any athlete, the first thing you want to know is what do we stand for? Because everybody has to be on the same page if we're not only going to make it work, but we're going to make it successful in a sense of there's a lot of pressure on our shoulders. We want to be able to make sure that we can vocalize who we are, what we're trying to be, because say they fall short in certain facets, if you know what the message is, if you know what the identity is, your fans are going to continue to support you because they know what the bridge is to get there. But this whole willy-nilly approach of we'll see when we get there, that doesn't call for buy-in for an athlete. You're not going to get the best out of your athletes, and that's what this team is going to want going into a pressured season. And just the joy that she seems to have, I would love to have a head coach that still appears to be in love with the game, because they're going to make sure that we as athletes still love the game, which just makes sacrifice a non-issue. We're willing to sacrifice for what we know we stand for the buy-in, and for the joy of the game. And I think that that's all going to be something exciting to look forward to.
And someone who the game loves, I'm going to flip that and switch that around, is Alex Morgan. And huge news coming from the NWSL. The San Diego Wave just announced their plans to retire Alex Morgan's jersey on September 7th. I wish we could fly there and be there for it. She'll be the first club's player to have her jersey retired. It's just incredible. She's really laid the foundation for this club. And so not really shocking at all that there will never be another AM13 for the San Diego Wave.
In a way, I'm totally okay with it. I mean, I went back and forth with my soccer number between 7 and 13. Actually, 3 was in the mix because my brother-in-law at the time was wearing 3. And so Alex Morgan solidified 13 for me. And we're only a couple years apart, but her game with the Golden Bears in California, and then just kind of the professional steps that she took, her game. I mean, I just touched on it. You want to talk about possessions? She's somebody that was really good at it. She controlled balls that were just like completely out of whack. She's very physical. She takes on people one-on-one and picks her opponent apart. And I just loved watching her game, but always 13, to the point where I was like, yeah, I'm rocking 13. So it's definitely deserved. I think she was very honest and transparent about kind of pivoting from her professional athlete life to being a mom, but you could tell how hard it still was because her leadership was something that was untouchable. She influenced so many women older than her, younger than her, every player that she had an opportunity to play with, and she just sees the game in such a tremendous strategic way. It's so hard to picture another Alex Morgan, so AM13 being hung up, it makes sense.
It definitely does. And she's impacted women and young girls too, who haven't even started their soccer journeys, more than just the pink pre-wrap. And I know that was a big thing for me. I loved her pink pre-wrap. I tried to copy it, but I could never figure out how to get it to just like stay on my head.
It didn't really stay. It didn't hold the baby hairs back at all.
No. So
but
Alex,
it looked cool.
Alex, please let us know. How did you do that? We loved your hairstyle, your iconic hairstyle. And yeah, like you said, with her family too, like this is the place and this is the team that she'd want to be in the fabric of forever. I mean, she already, after retiring, became part owner and help in the ownership with this team. So it's really cool to just see her next steps and cheer her on in that. But man, we had a packed show today. We talked basketball, we did ice hockey, we got some NWSL. So it makes total sense for a Respect Her game. But seriously,
100%.
Kasey, so fun to do this with you. Love talking to Abby Newhook. I think that was the highlight for me. But thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Respect Your Game. We'll catch you next week.